Hi there everyone, we're going to look today at inequalities on number lines, alright, so we're looking at inequalities specifically and how to show those on a number line. Skill needed for obviously GCSE maths, but let's have a go. Alright, so how can I represent an inequality on number line? Well, it's better if you know what an inequality is to start with, but what they are effectively is it's like bigger than something or less than something or equal to something or greater than or equal to something or something like that, alright? But they're represented by literally dots and arrows, okay? So the filled in dots represent the fact that it's equal to a number, and the not filled in means it's not equal to, alright? So that's the difference between the two dots, and then of course we're going to have an arrow in the direction if it's bigger than or less than, alright? So let's have a look anyway. So if I'm going to represent x is greater than 2, that's effectively what that says there, then I'm going to put a dot above the number that I'm talking about, which is 2. So I'm going to put a dot above 2, all right? And because it's not equal to, then I'm not going to colour it in. So it's going to be an empty circle, all right? That's what this lines are talking about here. A filled in dot means or equal to, and a hollow dot or empty dot or not filled in is going to be not equal to, all right? So this is just greater than 2, so that means it does not include 2. And because it says greater than, then I need an arrow going in this direction, going upwards, all right? And you'll notice here, it points in that direction, but that doesn't mean to say that that's necessarily always you need to look at. Obviously, you need to be able to read that says greater than 2. So that means it's going to go that way, okay? So greater than 2, there we go, all right? So that's that represented on a number line. Any value of x bigger than 2, all right? So 3, 4, 5, 6, so on and so on. Even 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, doesn't really matter, which is why I've got a continuous line going all the way up. And of course, it's got an arrow at the end to say it can be anything that way. Okay. So what about this one? Well, you've got x is less than or equal to 3. Well, similar to the one above, I need a dot above the key number, which of course is 3. So I need a dot, which is going to be here. But because this is all equal to, then it needs to be coloured in, like so. Okay. But this is less than or equal to. So that means my arrow is going to go in that direction. Okay, so like so. Okay, that makes sense, doesn't it? All right, let's have a look at some other examples, see what else we've kind of got. Oh, okay, this is a little bit trickier because we've got two inequalities, and that means my number appears in between two values. All right, so how we draw this one is a little bit different. I still need two dots, one at -1 in this case, and one at 1. All right, so I need a coloured in dot because it's all equal to at -1. And then I'm going to need a hollow dot at 1. And because my x is in between those two values, I'm not going to put an arrow that way and an arrow that way. That's going to look a bit daft. So all you were going to do is just draw a line in between them and just say it's anything in between those. All right, so that's how we would represent it when we got a value which is in between two. Okay, so let's have another look at one in terms of this way. Well, again, I've got two inequalities taking place. Slightly different to the one above, in that, well, the x value isn't in between two values. It means it's less than 0 and or greater than 4. All right, so it's not in between 0 and 4, which is why they're written separately. It means they're either less than 0 or greater than 4. All right, so let's start off with the one on the left-hand side and see what we've got. So anything less than 0. So I'm going to put a circle here, that way. Then I'm going to need the other one, and I'm going to need 4. Now I'm going to do that first. All right, so because it says less than, it's going in that direction. All right, so I've decided to do that bit first. So less than 0. And when with this one, well, I'm going to need the number over here, aren't I? I'm going to be coloured in. But because it's greater than 4, then it's going to go in that direction there. All right, so this time they're not going to go in between. So please note here, how this is written is in between the two, and how these two are written, all right? Because it's important you recognise how the exam board and how they expect you to write inequalities, and knowing the fact that they've written them like this will support you in terms of what it should look like, all right? So if it's in between two values, it's going to look a bit like this. If you've got two separate inequalities written, then chances are they're going in opposite directions, and it's going to look like that, all right? Okay, so that's the main part of it. Second part of the lesson, we're going to just take that a little bit further on. In the idea of thinking, well, it might not just be x something, it might be x minus 2 is something, and how we represent that on a number line. All right, so let's have a look in terms of what I'm talking about so you understand what I mean. So we've got x plus 2 is bigger than 5, all right? Well, when I'm thinking about the number line, before I kind of get that far, this isn't x is bigger than. It's x plus 2 is bigger than. So I need to get this so that it is just x is bigger than. So I'm going to rearrange it like I would do an equation. I'm going to move the plus 2, or take away 2 from this side. So I take away 2 from this side. All right? And that's what we're going to do. So we're going to make that to the side, and that's going to give me x is bigger than 3. And then now, at this point, you'll see this is very, very much the same as it was a minute ago. Okay, so I'm going to need a number line. I'm going to put a little circle on number 3. And because it's greater than 3, then it's going to go on the right-hand side pointing upwards. Okay, all right, so that's what we need to do if it's written that way around. All right, so what happens if it's like this? All right, well, that's going to be a little bit more complicated. So what you tend to do is divide each term by 2, all of it. All right, so whatever we do to basically one bit, we need to do the same for the rest. Well, what you should do is you treat each half separately. All right, so I'm going to teach this half first of all, and then that half second. All right, that's what you should do. But in terms of this should make it a little bit easier anyway, because I can just divide them all by 2. So I could divide that by 2, and then do the same for that side. But there's no point because I can literally just do it for there. All right, so divide it all by 2, which gives me this, and then my number line is relatively straightforward from there. You've got two numbers, minus 2, and you've got 3. And again, because the x is in the middle, then it's going to go in between. So I need the 2 circles, those and those. One's coloured in, one's not, and the line is going to go in between them. Okay, so that's it. That's inequalities on the number line in essence. All I would say is just get familiar with the notation, get familiar with what your expectations are. Go to maths-school.co.uk. The link is at the bottom of the page as normal. Get a bit of practice and make sure you kind of get those kind of questions right in the exam. All right, thanks for listening.